Good afternoon, my name is Julie Eberhardt and I'm going to be recording on the observations that I made here from my home at my station in Goldstream Valley, which is in the northern part of Fairbanks. My observations took place between Monday the 29th and Saturday the 3rd. The observations were recorded every day between about 12 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and my national weather station data location is the Fairbanks International Airport. So taking a look here at my line graph that was created through the Excel spreadsheet, my daily recording temperatures were a bit off from the National Weather Service recordings. That makes me a little uncomfortable because I feel like maybe I screwed up big time, but I keep trying to reassure myself that I live out of town and my temperature readings are usually different between about 10 to 15 degrees compared to the ones in town. So hopefully that is right and I'm not just completely oblivious and completely wrong on everything that I'm doing. Anyway, so as I had said earlier, my temperature recording times, or my recording times for my temperatures usually took place between about 12 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And starting here on Monday the 29th, for my left side of my thermometer, the max and min read as 13.4 degrees Fahrenheit and negative 9.2, while the right side read 13.7 and negative 9.5. This is kind of okay and kind of cool because it reaffirmed from my last recordings that I did, I think in my unit 3 observations, I think, in that my thermometer, the right side of my thermometer reads about a 0.3 degree difference, so it's nice to kind of see that consistency again. Anyway, moving on to Tuesday the 30th, the left max and min was 15.7 and negative 6.7, while the right max and min was 16 solid and negative 6.9. On Wednesday the 31st, which was also Halloween, it was 16.1 and 11.3 on the left, while on the right it was 16.4 and 11.6. On the 1st, it was 13.2 and negative 9.3 on the left, while it was 13.4 and negative 9.4 on the right. Friday the 2nd, it was 11.7 and negative 12.7 on the left, with 11.9 and negative 13.0 on the right. And lastly, Saturday the 3rd was 15.4 on the left with negative 11.3, while the right side read 15.7 and negative 11.6. So I got kind of sick of looking at my failed graph, so I thought I'd throw in a picture that I took earlier this week. I believe this was on Wednesday. I was out throwing toys for the dogs, and it was just kind of a nice day that had a really pretty sky, so I thought I'd snap a little picture. Anyway, I hadn't really noticed any precipitation here in the middle of the week or so, but on both Monday and Tuesday I saw some pretty dense fog and snow, and the pressure system on those days were pretty high as well, or pretty low as well, I'm sorry. And on Wednesday, again, I saw some light snow kind of earlier in the afternoon, but didn't really see it that evening, while Thursday was clear along with Friday, and on the evening of Thursday and then Friday in the afternoon while I was walking around campus, it seemed like there was a pretty fast wind coming through. It was a little storm there for a while between Gruning and the Rasmussen Library. And then on Saturday there was a light northeast wind. It was a little overcast and there was some light snow later in the evening. And then again this morning, which is Sunday, I woke up with some snow in my car, so obviously it snowed a bit last night as well. Throughout the week, though, it seemed pretty relatively warm, especially on those days with the snow and that lower pressure, so that was to be expected. And again, nothing major to report on, just kind of some real pretty sunsets and sunrises, and just sort of a nice week in general. So then moving on, we can see my pressure graph, and I felt pretty confident with my readings of my barometer this week. However, on the 30th, it looks like I got a little bit off from the National Weather Service, and it kind of looks like we're jumping rope there, but I guess that's okay. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I just did my readings wrong, or if maybe I wrote down the wrong number. It was a little bit smudged, so I feel like maybe instead of 1,000, oh no, that was Wednesday, so instead of 1,013.6, maybe it was supposed to be 1,018.6, but again, that put me above the National Weather Service, so I'm not entirely sure what's kind of going on that day. Otherwise, the other days were pretty consistent in terms of my readings and the weather station. And they were also pretty consistent with those snowy days that I'd recorded. There had been some snow on Monday and a little bit kind of going into Tuesday, so that was the 29th and 30th. And then it was definitely clear skies. There's really light snow to report on Wednesday, so that could be for that higher pressure. And then again, that just sort of fell into Thursday and Friday, and then looking at Friday there with that higher pressure, it was also that really windy day with real clear skies and lots of sun. And that just kind of remains consistent with the pressure systems that were reported for those days. So I'm located here in Fairbanks, Alaska, which is just about this area here and about the heart of the interior. Noticing from the north there's a pressure system that's starting to move kind of southeast in this direction, and then there is a lower pressure system here in south central that's kind of ending with these line indicators here. The little snowflakes here do indicate that there's some snow, and again, those are days that, or this was the day that I reported some snow, so this remains relatively consistent. And then just looking at the pressure recordings here, we're pretty consistent in terms of, you can kind of see this lighter, or this denser area here for the cloud cover, so that matches with those higher pressure systems, while Fairbanks has that deeper, or that brighter color indicating some snow cover. And then moving on through the week, we have Tuesday, which looked like a pretty interesting map with lots of fun stuff going on. Taking a look here at these black lines that indicate the end of, or the approximate end of the pressure system. Again here, Fairbanks is being hit with some snow, and again that's pretty consistent with what I had reported that day. This marking here is also showing that there was some fog through that area, and then again with this brightness here indicating the snow as well. And then moving from the south central part of Alaska here is a lower pressure front that's beginning to kind of move here, and it's this warmer front that's going forward. It ended up, I didn't feel like this was super consistent with what we had going on. I thought it would be a little bit warmer recordings here at my house anyway. At noon I'd recorded about a 16-degree Fahrenheit reading. So that's relatively consistent since that is my warmest reading of the week. But otherwise, just some regular snow, some light wind that day as well, and a pressure system here reporting at about 1016.4 millibars. And then taking a look here at Halloween, we did have some snow showers throughout the day as well. Again, that was that day that I recorded some light snow in my car and the boat, and some fog here reporting as well. Whoops, and I just went backwards, and now I'm going all over the place. Okay. So being a little more consistent here, just with the pressure system, I reported 1013.6 millibars, and you can just kind of see these indicators here. These are the pressure line indicators, just kind of showing where those fronts are ending. And throughout the interior, again, there was just some fog and some light cloud cover as there was some light snow throughout the day. Then looking at Thursday the 1st, it definitely did clear up, especially down here in the southwest region of Alaska. The interior still had some pretty heavy cloud cover, and again this was kind of an overcast day, and it was also pretty windy, so those clouds did eventually kind of move out, I thought, at least anyway. And again, there was no snow for this day. The pressure reading that I had here at my house anyway was 1021 millibars. And there was some light fog as well, but I didn't, at least at my site or throughout the workday, see any snow showers as indicated here. Taking a look down in the south central region is pretty exciting. I haven't seen any purple or green before, so this was kind of cool to see, or pink or green too. There's this kind of system moving north here from the south central part, bringing in that low pressure system, as well as some other interesting weather along with it. And then my last day to report on, since there isn't a map for the Saturday the 3rd, I'm going to report for Friday the 2nd. Again, there's this really cool system here. I haven't really seen these spirals before, at least this big kind of circular mess here. There's that storm there moving in through the south central and kind of moving upwards north through here, and then the interior again is getting slammed with this cold front moving south, and then there's some higher pressure systems here as well. And this could have definitely explained that weird weather that we had on Friday while I was on campus, and that just like sudden whirlwind of wind and what have you. That pressure system today, the reading, or that day, had been 1019.3. So I did have kind of a higher pressure recording that day. I didn't see any snow or any fog, and it was real clear and sunny. But again, just getting hit real hard with these conflicting areas here with these warmer and these cooler fronts was pretty exciting. And then lastly, taking a look at these images from Friday the 2nd, I was pretty excited when I saw these because they're pretty cool here, checking out this little spiral system here that's really consistent throughout all of these maps. It actually makes a real cool picture. It's kind of like artwork, actually, kind of like natural artwork. Anyway, so this system here moving in, there are these two colliding systems, and they're pretty evident, especially here through the visible reading map, where you can just really see these pressure systems really hitting and collapsing here. And then again in the interior, it had reported that there had been some snow, but again I didn't see any snow, so I'm not sure. But it's just real neat to kind of see this big huge spiral here as it's kind of moving in this system from the south. And these pictures were all pretty consistent with what I had going on. Again, Fairbanks here is right about in this area, so maybe we just barely missed any precipitation as shown through this water vapor map. Oops. And then again, kind of looking through the infrared here, you can really see that dense cloud cover and just kind of that area that's coming through here, although again, I reported it as being a pretty sunny day, so maybe I was just inside when it was cloudy, I don't know. But again, this visible cloud cover here as well through this map. But either way, it made for some really interesting weather on this day. There's definitely some real pretty pictures here anyway. And everything seemed to be relatively consistent with the pressure systems and the recordings that I had recorded on, and again with just that weird freak windstorm that just kind of those systems colliding had created up there on campus that one day. So I think that about wraps up my recordings for the week of Monday the 29th to Saturday the 3rd. I didn't really witness any exceptional phenomenon other than just kind of the regular snowfall and again that wind that I'd reported on a few times here on Friday. I didn't have any major issues with my observations. The only days that were really conflicting again was on the 30th when I'd kind of had a really varying pressure recording from the National Weather Service, but again I might have just recorded that wrong when I'd taken my observation and had a smudge on the paper. I'm not entirely sure yet. Otherwise, I felt pretty confident with my readings. I feel like I've definitely gotten a better grasp of my max and min readings, or at least I hope I have, given the announcement that was given a week or two ago on some clearer directions on how to use them. Otherwise, I think that generally speaking, it had been a pretty good week, and I'm looking forward to another great one. I'm glad that we're not having to undergo the issues that are going on the east coast of the U.S. right now, where there's still lots of people out of power. My sweetie's down there working to help restore, and it seems that people are 50-50, either really appreciative of all the help that the utilities are giving, or are really angry at all the workers and wondering why it's taking so long. So I'm glad that I don't have to be part of that sort of system right now, and just hope that nothing like that happens here anytime soon. Otherwise, I think it's been a pretty good week, and again, looking forward to another great week, and I believe that's it. So thank you so much for listening, and have a great rest of your week.